All right, joining us now, a lot of breaking news tonight. Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis, by the way, I'm hoping will be the next governor of the great state of Florida, the Sunshine State. Full disclosure for you dopes over at MSNBC and Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. Sarah, let's start with you. So I was speaking with you last night, and we were speaking to other people, and we were both working our sources. And then again this morning at 7 o'clock, there was supposed to be released documents from the DOJ early in the morning, and then they pulled them back. What happened?
Absolutely. I mean, the DOJ failed to mention that when they issued a press release last night, Sean, after midnight, stating that they would turn over documents next week, or at least allow Congress to review documents next week, either Monday or Tuesday, and ask more questions about the information that they had requested on April 24th, which was a specific documentation by the House Intelligence Committee that would basically shed light on the entire Russia investigation. It's these documents that the DOJ and the FBI are refusing to turn over to lawmakers. And this is significant. They had battled with them on May 24th. Remember that meeting that they had where the DOJ and FBI were supposed to share documents with Nunes and Representative Trey Gowdy and others, and they did not. They, in fact, told them that they would not share those documents with investigators on their committee. So this has been a back and forth battle. They refused to turn them over this morning, instead issuing a press release late last night that nobody was aware of except for the reporters. But the congressional members were left in the dark. They headed to Capitol Hill. They were waiting for the documents, and once again, they weren't there.
All right, I got some breaking news, if I can throw this at you, Congressman. This is in the New York Times. Federal law enforcement, the headline is, Justice Department seizes Times reporters' email and phone records in leak investigation. Federal law enforcement officials secretly seizing a year's worth of New York Times reporters' phone and email records this year in an investigation of classified information leaks. Excuse me. Don't we have a First Amendment here? By the way, I never thought I'd be defending the New York Times. They do suck. But wait a minute. They don't have a right to this reporter's notes, this reporter's records. We do. Aren't they allowed to protect their sources? Do we have freedom of press? This sounds scary to me. What's your reaction?
Well, it's also against the backdrop, Sean. Nobody has been prosecuted who's actually done leaking since this administration took over. I mean, remember, Michael Flynn, that intercept was a FISA intercept. That was leaked gratuitously by somebody, probably an Obama holdover. There have been a cascade of leaks, and nobody has been held accountable for any of those things. So I need more information about what exactly is happening here. I know that there's a former staffer on the Senate Intelligence Committee that is probably going to be indicted. I'm not sure if it was working for a Democrat or a Republican, although I have my guess. But at the end of the day, you've had a series of leaks and no accountability up to this point.
I will tell you, news media, and they write this in the Times piece, consider the idea of mining a journalist's records for sources a massive intrusion into the First Amendment. Sarah Carter, we worked sources last night, and it's none of their business who we talk to, who you talk to, who I talk to. Mueller doesn't have a right to this information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that when we look at overall, what's been happening here, look, James Clapper has now been outed pretty much as someone who the Congress believes had leaked information to CNN. We know that the president's conversations, private conversations, were leaked to the media. But that does not give the right for the DOJ to start mining reporters' telephone numbers, mining reporters' information to try to find out who was the leaker. I mean, I think they pretty much know where the leaks are coming from. Give polygraphs. I mean, if they're leaking highly classified information.
Maybe they should look at their own office.
That's right. Like Mike Flynn, maybe give some polygraphs and find out who was leaking inside the DOJ or inside the FBI or inside the administration as to these highly classified leaks.
This is huge news here because, and we're just putting this together. The New York Times, even their own leadership is commenting on this. Maybe the New York Times, Congressman DeSantis, maybe they'll now realize people like Sean Hannity may have been right, and Sarah Carter and so many of us, Greg Jarrett, because we have pointed out FISA abuses, lying to FISA court judges, omissions by lying to FISA court judges, Hillary Clinton's crimes, the dual justice system in this country, one for Christian Saucier, one for Hillary, fixing investigations, and everything else associated with this. And that has been our point the entire time, Congressman. How do we get to the bottom of this now?
And they fight tooth and nail to provide the American people the truth about activities. I mean, Rosenstein, as Sarah said, even just last night, they're refusing to turn over these documents. People are saying that they're briefing certain members of Congress saying, oh, this is exactly what we'd want the FBI to do. Well, if that's the case, then why don't you show the American people the document, show Congress so we can see how good a job you did. The fact that they're not willing to do that, that tells me that there were problems from the very beginning of this so-called collusion investigation. They won't show us the Papadopoulos stuff. They won't show us the information about Halper. And you got to ask yourself, why won't they come clean with Congress?
Last word tonight, Sarah Carter.
Absolutely. What was the scope of all of this? I think what we're seeing, Sean, and I've said this over and over again, is just one small portion of massive abuse. And the American people deserve the truth because our country relies on the foundation that we built ourselves upon, and it's not meant for spying. It's not meant for weaponizing the intelligence community. Something has to be done here, and Congress has to fight even harder to get those answers.